Greetings, I'm Squared, and we're going to talk about Learning Target 1 today in our new chapter. So Learning Target 1 says I can look at an expression with rational exponents and I can change it to a radical expression, or I can look at a radical expression and change it to rational exponents. So you should be able to go back and forth. So we want to remember our rules. Our rule says that this little guy out here, remember that's called the index. That number is always going to be the bottom of our fraction exponent, and the power in here, if it like we said a to the fifth, that is always going to be the numerator. So this is the denominator, the index is the denominator, and the power is our numerator. So that's basically the only rule you have to remember. So you just got to remember what goes on top, what goes on the bottom. Now, this is a radical sign. We call it a square root because it doesn't have an index. It really does, it's just that we don't write it. So when you see a radical sign without an index, that's your hint that it's 2. So the index, remember, it's going to be a fraction here whenever I see that radical sign. The index is my denominator and the power is my numerator. Again, I don't see a power, so you have to remember that if there's no power, it's a 1. So I'm going to do a problem and then you can pause the video and see if you can do that one if you want to, or you can just work with me. So again, the index is not there, so I know it's a 2. The power is not there, so I know it's a 1. So I would rewrite this as 15 to the 1/2. So a square root just means to the power of 1/2. All right, next one. So we have a 2 as our base. We have a fraction here. So notice that the power is 3 and that the index is 3. So the power goes here, the index goes here, but what is 3 divided by 3? It's 1. And 2 to the 1 is just 2. So anytime your index and your power are exactly the same, they kind of cancel each other out. We talked about that with squares, right? The square root of x squared or anything squared is just x. And so anytime those two are the same, they cancel each other out. So we just get a 2 there. So then what would this one be? So if you see that they're the same, you can say, oh, that just equals 2. But if you're not sure, you can remember that's your numerator, and that's your denominator. But 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 2 to the first power is still 2. Okay, next one. So we're going to take our 6, and we're going to remember what goes in the numerator, what goes in the denominator. This is the numerator. This is the denominator. And that is just how I rewrite it. They aren't asking you to simplify it. This is the basic, just beginning level, so we're not asked. When this is bigger than this, you can reduce that. You would get like 6, because there's 4 6s. They're telling you there's 4 6s all multiplied together. And if the index is 3, then I need 3 to bring 1 out. So there's 3, and then there's one lone one left. And then the index is 3. So it would be 6 cubed roots of 3. Remember, I'm just telling you that just for fun. This is not what you have to do in this video. In our homework, you're just going to be going like this. So I won't do any more of those, but just so you know, that's how they kind of transfer. All right. I should say simplified. That would be the simplified version. Okay, you try. All right. Hopefully, you remember that that was the power and that that's the index. And then we're just done. 5 to the 3/5. Remember, there's no index. What's the number? That's right. Hopefully you remembered. It's the 2. So I'm going to rewrite that as 8 to the 3/2 because that's the power numerator. Index is the denominator. And then this one, 5 to the 3, and then halves because it's a square root. So that is how you change radical expressions to expressions with rational. Remember, rational means a ratio. Rational powers. Good luck with that. I'm Squared. Signing out.